garages. He has cleared major arteries. Well done, Sam Sanders. I want to talk about this today. I hope Sam Sanders hears today's show. Folks, someone should be tagging Sam Sanders so he hears the program, because he's going to get some props today on the I Love CVille show. Judah, we're live on YouTube and Twitter. Are we connected on LinkedIn?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Excellent work. Viewers and listeners, like and share the show. Take a look at the headlines on screen. It's the snowy edition of the I Love CVille show in downtown Charlottesville, as it's quite quiet in downtown Charlottesville right now. You just saw a man and a lady walking by with their canine. You saw a Honda CRV driving by there. But for the most part, quite quiet in the most important 8 blocks in a region, downtown Charlottesville. I've been told that City Hall employees, government employees, were told to report today at 11 a.m. Judah and I were in the saddle
I was told they received a very, very late notification that they were getting the day off.
You saw that on Reddit?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. That notification on Reddit said they were told to come today at 11 a.m. Yeah. So they're working now in the office.
Are you sure?
I mean, that's you saw it on Reddit. That's the same thing I saw on Reddit.
And somebody else was saying that they had just gotten a notification that nobody had to come in.
Interesting.
They thought it was a little bit could be a little bit rough. People coming from farther out may have started their journeys because the notification went out so late.
Well, the interesting thing is the majority of people, and we should talk about this on the show, the majority of people that work in City Hall do not live in city limits.
I'm not surprised.
Like the vast majority of the Charlottesville rescue and police, fire and rescue, and police do not live in city limits.
No doubt.
We'll talk about that today. Like and share the show. I see us live on my personal Facebook page, Judah, LinkedIn. I see us live on YouTube. Are we live on the group?
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. We're going to get rocking and rolling. Let the viewers and listeners know the headline that most intrigues you, Judah.
I think I appreciate what you had to say about Sam Sanders. We did hold him accountable for the last handling of snow, and I think that he definitely deserves a call out for the job that was done today.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam Sanders, I hope you have your cafe con leche or your hot chocolate. Is it too early for the city manager to be enjoying a Woodford on the rocks? I mean, perhaps it's 12:30. Either way, I hope you have something cold or warm in your hands and you're watching the program, because Mr. Sanders, you're going to get some props on the program today. All right, let's rock and roll when you're ready, J-Dubs. Is it too early for the city manager to have a Woodford on the rocks? I mean,
I'm not going to stop him.
I wouldn't judge him. I mean, there would be some people that would probably judge him. I wouldn't judge him. Yeah. So, City Manager Sanders, you're always welcome here at the bar that we have in our studio that has probably is there 30 bottles over there on the bar?
No.
Are you joking? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, 22. I apologize. You're right. There's not 30. All right, let's rock and roll when you're ready.
Quiet on the set.
Guys, welcome to the I Love CVille show. My name is Jerry Miller. Good Wednesday afternoon to you. Thank you kindly for joining us. A pleasure to connect with you guys in sleepy and snowy and silent downtown Charlottesville. Is that the 7 dwarfs? Were there 7 dwarfs? Were there 12 dwarfs? Were there 11 dwarfs? How many dwarfs were there?
There were 12 days of Christmas, and I believe there were 7 dwarfs.
7 dwarfs. We have sleepy and silent and snowy. One of those was a dwarf, right? Are you on a 2-shot? Yeah, what are the 7? There was Sneezy. There was Sleepy, right?
Sleepy. There was Doc. Let's see. Grumpy.
Pinocchio. There was a Pinocchio, right? Was there a Pinocchio?
I don't think he was a dwarf.
There was not a Pinocchio dwarf?
He may have been an honorary dwarf, but I don't believe he started as one of the seven dwarfs.
Okay. Elsa the dwarf. Was there Elsa?
I don't know. Did she have a beard?
No, Elsa. No, Elsa was the snow princess from that Disney movie my kid watches. She's not a dwarf, is she? Elsa?
I don't think she is.
Elsa was not a dwarf. Moana was a dwarf, right? Moana. Is Moana a dwarf? What were the dwarfs? Sleepy was a dwarf, right? Snow White. She was the leader of the dwarfs, right?
Snow White and the seven dwarfs.
Okay. So there was Dopey. Okay, there was Snow White. There was no Elsa as one of the dwarfs, or no Moana as one of the dwarfs.
No.
Okay, fine.
All of them but Doc end in a Y.
Dopey.
Dopey.
Bashful was a dwarf. Does not end in a Y.
Bashful. Was that? Yeah, maybe you're right.
Sneezy was a dwarf, right?
Sneezy, Sleepy, Grumpy.
Here's a great question. This is a great question. If we had the seven dwarfs, name the seven dwarfs. We should Google this. Name the seven dwarfs. This is the Wednesday edition of the I Love CVille show on a slow news cycle. Have no fear. The I Love CVille network will create the news cycle when the news cycle is slow. As 20-somethings that work for the television stations and the newspaper are unable to get out of their driveways. I mean, because frankly speaking, they're paid peanuts and living on the other side of the mountain or in the backwoods of Buckingham County and are struggling to make their way into the epicenter of news, Charlottesville and Albemarle County. Sean Tubbs, I think, is on a train somewhere, probably to his parents' house in Pennsylvania, covering the news cycle. Neil Williamson, the meetings have been canceled today and yesterday, so have no fear. The I Love CVille network is going to create the news cycle for you. We got Doc, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, Bashful, Sneezy, and Dopey. If we had to moniker local celebrities and local stakeholders in the Charlottesville community, who would earn these monikers of Doc, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, Bashful, Sneezy, and Dopey? In the Charlottesville local electeds, Charlottesville stakeholder circles. Is Doc Mike Kochis the George Clooney of policing? Doc is the coolest of the seven dwarfs, is he not?
He did seem to have his head on straight.
Okay, is Chief Kochis Doc of the Seven Dwarfs? The George Clooney of policing?
I might have to go back and watch the movie.
Okay, who is the happy dwarf? Oh. I mean, something about Juan Diego Wade, the mayor, always strikes me as happy-go-lucky.
Okay.
Is Juan Diego Wade, does he not give the impression that he is a jolly, happy guy?
Sure.
I'll give Doc Mike Kochis to George Clooney of policing. I'll give Happy to the mayor, Juan Diego Wade, who's running for re-election. We're starting to get into the tough monikers that we have to assign. The Sleepies, the Grumpies.
Are you sure you want to go here?
The Sneezies and the Dopies. Former Mayor Lloyd Snook seems to always be battling some kind of cough or cold or congestion of some kind when he's on the dais. Is former Mayor, current City Councilor Lloyd Snook the Sneezy of the Seven Dwarfs? He's a friend of the program. I see him quite often. His office, his law firm is literally within 20 feet, 25 feet of where our studio is right now. We're in the same building, in the same commercial condo association in the Macklin building. So we got Chief Kochis is the Doc of the Seven Dwarfs. We got Mayor Juan Diego Wade is the Happy. We got Councilor Lloyd Snook, who seems to always be battling something cold-wise or congestion-wise as the Sneezy. We have Bashful, Sleepy, Grumpy, and Dopey left. I'm hesitant to ask a Deep Throat his take on these. Jesus.
Oh, man.
Viewers and listeners, help us figure out, and we kid because we care. If you get monikered the Grumpy or the Bashful or the Sleepy or the Dopey, which one is the worst of the monikers? Is it the Grumpy or the Dopey that is the worst of the monikers? Sleepy, I think we could just chalk that up to being...
Dopey.
You say Dopey is the worst of the monikers?
I'd say that's the worst one.
Who is the Dopey of our Charlottesville stakeholder community? Is the Dopey we're going to give... And this is a little bit mean here. I'm hesitant to say this right here. Are we gonna allocate this to one of the activists in our community, one of the activists that's driving the new zoning ordinance that has frankly fallen flat on its face? We're now at the 1-year anniversary of the new zoning ordinance, and literally nothing has materialized. In fact, what has materialized from the new zoning ordinance is just frankly a lawsuit that's costing the city money, as we're hiring a third-party law firm, very expensive law firm at that, to represent the city in this lawsuit. And the city is not letting us, the taxpayers, know what it is spending on this legal representation. Is the dopey the leader of the new zoning ordinance and activist associated with urban policy group Livable CVille? I'll allow you to fill in those blanks. And I'm curious, Judah, who's seeming to take the high road over here, how you would utilize the remaining monikers grumpy and sleepy and bashful and dopey. Judah Wickower. You got Doc as Chief Conscious, the cool one. You got Happy as Juan Diego Wade, the mayor. You got Sneezy as beloved Lloyd Snook, who is always battling some kind of congestion. What about grumpy? What about sleepy? What about bashful? What about dopey?
Man, well, you got Livable CVille as the catch-all for dopey.
I'm gonna catch some heat for that. I'm gonna stand true to that. I'm gonna stand with that.
Somebody's going to call the Livable CVille folk and ask if they've watched the I Love CVille show. And
I know they watch it. I hear they give me grief on it. I know they do. I see the grief that's given. Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts as we're having some fun. Neil Williamson says he's the grumpy. No, you're not, Neil Williamson. I would never, ever, ever call you grumpy, Neil. I would never call you grumpy. I'd call you jolly. You know, if Neil Williamson was one of the 7 dwarfs, I'd say he would be he'd be in the happy category with Mayor Wade. I would never call him grumpy. Neil, who's the grumpy? Bill McChesney is listening to us while he's shoveling right now. The city of Charlottesville has given an edict to its commercial and residential owners. You have until 6 a.m. tomorrow to clear your sidewalks, or you will be fined. We'll talk on the program today how Sam Sanders, does he get one of the 7 dwarf monikers? City Manager Sam Sanders?
Oh man. You want to give him grumpy?
I don't think Sam Sanders is grumpy.
I don't either.
What's your beef with with Sam Sanders calling him grumps?
I'm just you're asking. I don't know that any.
I don't think Sam is grumpy.
I mean, these are pretty odd categories to put people in.
Sam is always dressed to the nines.
Specific people in mind.
Holly Foster says if you're looking for a local stakeholder to be bashful, a local celebrity to be bashful, it's the guy that's on screen, Judah Wickower. She says that you're the bashful. Can Judah be bashful over there? Can we moniker you as the bashful of the 7 dwarfs?
I don't know. Do I have enough renown to fill that role?
You have je ne sais quoi and influence in this community. I would say you are a bit bashful from time to time. Would you not?
Do you know what that means?
What it means on the I Love CVille show is swagger and clout and an air of influence. Give me the exact meaning of the je ne sais quoi. I know you're going to hold me accountable.
I mean, it's great if you know what it means, because it just means I don't know what.
Oh, so when I say he's got some je ne sais quoi, I'm saying I don't know what?
Yeah, usually someone says he's got a certain air of je ne sais. It's just like I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, so I was using it right. You have an air of je ne sais quoi. You have an air of cloud, an air of I don't know what, an air of pizzazz. You have an air of bashfulness. I'll agree with the Queen of Henrico that Judah's a little bit bashful from time to time. I would say, is that fair?
I'm not denying it.
Is that fair? I try to convert, not convert, that's not the right word. I try to take that bashfulness and metamorphosis into
Metamorphize.
Whatever the word is. Look at this. This guy's holding me accountable left and right. I try to get it into a quality that's good for a talk show. Maybe that's what we're doing right now. All right, so a lot we're going to cover on the program. We still need to figure out who the grumpy is.
And sleepy.
And who the sleepy is. We got the bashful, Judah Wickower. We got the doc, George Clooney of policing Mike Kochis. The happy is the Juan Diego Wade. The sneezy is Lloyd Snook, who's always battling some kind of cold or congestion of some kind. The dopey I'll give to the head honcho of livable CVille.
Getting us in trouble.
Sam Sanders, lower third on screen. You going to put it on there? Do we give the man some props?
Yeah, definitely.
He did what John Blair, number 2 in the family, suggested during the last snowstorm. John Blair shared a link during the I Love CVille show during the first snowstorm of 2025. Mm-hmm. And during that first snowstorm, downtown Charlottesville, for more than a week, was treacherous territory.
Yeah.
Sidewalks were precarious at best. Parking spaces were unparkable. Mm-hmm. Downtown Charlottesville was unwalkable, almost unusable.
It was rough.
It was rough. We walk around yesterday and today. We were in the studio for half day yesterday. We did the Jerry and Jerry show yesterday morning, and then we made an executive decision around lunchtime. Look, we better leave to get home just for the safety of Judah and I's commute home. And today we're in the office. The roads are fine.
They were a little bit like, I was surprised. There was quite a bit of snow and ice and slush still on the road next to the courthouse. But all the surrounding roads have been fine.
Oh, it's Sam, city manager Sanders should get props.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I hope city manager Sanders hears this. I saw him walking down the downtown mall the other day. I was just coming out of the post office. I'm calling him supervisor. City manager Sanders, Sam Sanders, is dressed to the nines all the time. The man's got either he's got a stylist or the man understands the concept of style, because that dude is flossing. And I hope Sam hears this. He is, you talk about one of the best dressed guys in the city of Charlottesville. Who is on that short list? Best dressed guys on the city of Charlottesville. Is it Sam is number 1 on that list? Who would we? Jim Hingley is a man that dresses very well. I've seen Jim Hingley, and maybe this isn't the right moniker, rocking a fedora, rocking various hats.
I have seen him wearing hats.
And he pulls the hat look off extremely well. And if he was part of the Seven Dwarves, he would be monikered as happy. He's got an air of happy. Jim is a guy that you can tell is just very secure with himself and pleased with. He's just a good guy. He's got to be on that short list, best dressed guys. I think Sam might be on top of it. And city manager Sanders has gotten a lot of grief on this program. He caught grief for Sandersville, where he allowed a homeless encampment in the most recognizable park in all of the city. He's caught some grief with how he's managed the houseless population, in particular this low barrier shelter on Cherry Avenue, which, frankly speaking, has it become an afterthought? Have we heard anything about the low barrier shelter once Major Van Meter misspoke and spoke out of turn? He tells the media, including a show on the I Love CVille network, the Downtown Spotlight, that we are going to convert a thrift store on Cherry Avenue into a low barrier shelter, and we're going to accommodate the houseless in this community that have criminal records, that are sex offenders, that are alcoholics, that are drug addicts, and that are potentially violent. And we're going to welcome them. We're going to open them up and have them trot up onto our ark by the two. Major Van Meter said. And then, after doing a little bit of reconnaissance, Major Van Meter said, Salvation Army won't let us do that. We might allow you, we can allow you to use our thrift store, but the Salvation Army can't be the ones that are actually managing this project. And then City Manager Sanders caught a lot of yoke on the face because of the doo-doo that Van Meter stepped in and caused the city to step in as well.
Yeah.
But for the doo-doo that's been stepped in atop the totem pole at City Hall, he deserves some props and some accolades for how he's managed the weather over the last 48 hours. On Monday, as I'm leaving the studio, and occasionally I'll do the 2-hour shuffle. I mean, I've told this story many times on this program. I caught heat on one of the meme accounts for doing this. Look, I get 7 to 10 parking tickets a year. I park outside the studio on Market Street or the block right around Market Street. Mm-hmm. I try to move the car within the 2 hours because I'm in and out all the time. I'm not a guy that's going to grind and sit at a desk for a long period of time. I'll take phone calls with my earbuds and just walk around the mall, walk to my car and move them. Sometimes I go beyond the 2-hour limit. And if I get a parking ticket, it's the cost of doing business. 7 $20 parking tickets is $140. 10 $20 parking tickets is $200. The cost for a monthly parking pass in one of the garages is $135. I'm coming out way ahead, and my walk from my car on the street versus in the parking garage is a fraction of the time.
Yeah.
Okay? And I was having this conversation with somebody and saying, I'm actually helping the city by getting the parking spaces. I'm paying the fine. Mm-hmm. It's incremental revenue.
Yeah.
Okay? And they're like, oh, this is why the city is at a loss for dollars. First of all, the city is not at a loss for dollars. They have an abundant surplus.
Aren't they trying to figure out what to do with $22 million?
They're trying to figure out what to do with $22 million, a surplus.
I wish I had that problem.
I mean, Judah Wickhauer and I both wish we had that problem. I jingled the pocket. It might be $22, not $22 million. This is where Judah's going to say 22 cents over there.
Hey, I've got 25.
What you don't have anymore is a penny.
Right.
Is the penny going to be a collector's item as we eradicate the penny from American currency? Costs 3 cents to make 1 cent. What a laughing stock, ladies and gentlemen. 3 cents to make 1 cent.
Well, I mean, it made sense at one point.
It never made sense. Is that pun intended, Judah Wickhauer? Never did it make sense. When did it make sense? And now the haters on Trump are starting to say, oh, this is going to drive more inflation because it's going to cause people to not do the $6.99 price. They're going to just round up to $7. It's a penny, people. You walk by them on the side of the road and you don't pick them up. I can walk down Market Street and see a bunch of pennies thanks to how City Manager Sam Sanders has handled the snow. On Monday afternoon, he tells the community with signs on the parking spaces, you can't park here. If you park here, you're going to get towed. We need to prepare for the snow that's coming. And he used Tuesday to have his plows clear the major roads in Charlottesville and around downtown in particular. And then he offered the community free parking, which we're taking advantage of.
Yeah.
In the Market Street garage as we speak.
That's great.
And then just walking to the studio. So, Sam, you deserve some props. Kudos. Well done, City Manager Sam Sanders. Maybe the best dressed man in Charlottesville, Virginia. Who challenges Sam Sanders as best dressed man in Charlottesville, Virginia? Elliot Harding, watching the program, talented defense attorney. He says the city would be able to do whatever they want if they followed Blair's suggestion of sticking a penance into Bitcoin. John Blair.
Sticking what?
Giving Bitcoin some props or some attention with the city budget. Investing into Bitcoin is what Elliot Harding said. And I'm going to add to what Elliot's saying. John Blair would be a phenomenal city manager. Phenomenal city manager in any jurisdiction. Lucky to have him in Charlottesville. Lucky to have him as a county executive in Albemarle County. And that's no shade against Jeff and no shade against Sam. That's just props and kudos to John and his leadership acumen and skill set. Bill McChesney says, don't forget about the 8th dwarf, Jumping Jerry. He wasn't including in the Disney version because he was too controversial. I appreciate that, Mayor of McIntyre, Bill McChesney. Not sure. I understand that comment, but I appreciate the comment. Deep Throat, number 1 in the family, says, with Donald Trump closing the Federal Executive Institute, maybe that could be the low barrier shelter. That's a little zing on the Federal Executive Institute that's closing on what, Emmett? Is it closing on Emmett, ladies and gentlemen? I believe that's where it's closing. I still get the roads confused.
Which ones?
All of them. My wife gives me a hard time because I use the car navigation system to still navigate myself around Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and Central Virginia, despite being here 25 years.
I always forget. For me, it's Prophet. I don't know why.
Prophet Road?
I feel like there's another one similar to that I always get it confused with. The same thing happened in Maine. In fact, my friends and I got in trouble with cops because I forgot what street my friend lived on. I knew it started with a P. It was the same thing, like Prophet or something along those lines.
John Blair says, thank you to both Elliot Harding and you, Jerry, for the kind words. John Blair also says, as you're putting some photos on screen, one thing you might find amusing, in the old days, Waynesboro would not plow streets until the final flake of snow had fallen. They claimed it cost too much to plow while it was still snowing. I think they've changed that practice, but it did occur in the 1990s. Wow. One thing that we have been doing is, as the snow plows at the Miller house, we live over in Ivy now, we plow the driveway. It's a pretty long driveway. It's a pretty big driveway we have here. We're on 4 acres. We plow the driveway as it snows. And if you plow the driveway throughout the snow and allow asphalt to show, driveway to show, it's way easier to melt. It's amazing of how much heat the asphalt radiates.
Yeah.
It becomes its own melter of the snow. The folks in our neighborhood that wait until the snow is over, in particular this last one where it iced over was single digits for a week after the snow fell, they could not leave their house for like a week. There was one house in the neighborhood that legitimately was asking other neighbors to bring them groceries because they had a long driveway and no four-wheel drive vehicle. Oof. So they couldn't get out of their house.
Yeah.
I mean, first world problems, of course. Here you have multimillionaires in Ivy, Virginia on acreage with long driveways and no four-wheel drive vehicles. I'm sorry, they just had Lexus sedans.
Well,
and brick Georgian homes, and they didn't have the foresight to shovel their driveway as the snow was falling.
Or call someone to clear your driveway.
So they're putting on their $1,200 iPhone on the neighborhood Facebook group, someone please bring us some groceries, pinkies up, we need to drink our lattes in the morning, we need our tea and crumpets and our champagne and caviar.
Crazy. I'm fortunate
True
enough
story.
to have
True story.
To have pretty nice neighbors, and we do each other solid. So I looked out the door yesterday evening, and somebody had shoveled the walkway all the way up to my front door, all the way along up and down, and so I did the same thing this morning. I shoveled mine and my two next door neighbors and down to the parking lot.
I will say this. Judah Wickhauer may be bashful of the Seven Dwarfs, but if you had an opportunity to have a neighbor next to you, there's probably no better neighbor in the world than Judah Wickhauer. I sincerely mean that. I'm giving you props over there.
Because I keep to myself.
You don't have ragers. You're not having keg parties. You're not having late night traffic. Last I checked, you're not bumping Kendrick Lamar or Drake or Yeezy on your surround sound, right?
Not usually.
Okay. I'm next going to ask you to give me a case study of the Super Bowl halftime show and all the hidden meetings. So get ready for that. You keep to yourself.
I hear there's 50, and the last three, like the last 3 or 4, 47 through 50 are the most important. So, but that's just hearsay.
That was actually a joke from Judah Wickhauer, I believe. Was that a joke?
I think that might have been a joke.
Okay. No one picked.
Maybe there actually are 50 hidden meetings.
I know that's a joke. I'm trying to help emphasize that for the viewers and listeners. Yeah. But if Judah was your neighbor, he'd clear the driveway for you. He'd clear the sidewalk for you. He's not going to have loud music playing. He'd check in on you. He's pretty safe. Probably the best neighbor you can ask for. Vanessa Parkhill of Earlysville says, absolutely, clear the snow as it's falling. That's what we do, and it's made it so much easier to manage. My wife taught me that, the Yankee lass that I married. Scott Aaronworth is.
I can't imagine what the snow would have been like this morning if my neighbors hadn't cleared the walkway yesterday evening because it was pretty thick and heavy this morning.
Our neighbors legitimately have probably 200 yards of driveway.
Man,
Like, legitimately.
I can't believe they don't have I can't believe they don't have someone with a snowplow attached to the front of their pickup truck on speed dial.
Well, you can pay for someone to plow your driveway. It does cause damage to your driveway.
You mean it can?
It can cause damage to your driveway.
It can also
Absolutely.
cause damage to the streets.
100%.
I think that's why the road next to the courthouse was poorly plowed, is because it's a brick roadway.
They straight up damaged the road next to the courthouse.
I'm not surprised.
They damaged the road next to the courthouse from the previous plow. You look at the road after it was plowed with the first snowstorm, and the road was damaged, the brick was damaged because of the plows.
Fortunately, it's fairly easy to replace a brick.
I mean, it is and it isn't.
Well, as opposed to filling in a pothole where you may end up with a pot hill. Like that?
That was very good, especially with the hand motion. The pot hill.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Sam Sanders, props to you for what you've done with managing the snow. Deep Throat says, I did 4 passes of my driveway yesterday. We did 4 as well, Deep Throat. Can't wait until the last minute. In Montana, we have a very good plowing service. Plowing is not easy. The guy who runs the service has the degree from Montana State in snow science. Wow. Wow. We did 4 passes of our driveway yesterday. I even had our 7-year-old out there pushing snow for us. I did one last pass last night. You know, it was 2 Emperor of Clouds deep. Scott Roth and George Castendike. That is my favorite beer, the Emperor of Clouds. Dave Warwick, if you're watching the program, I love the Emperor of Clouds. It has surpassed Minuteman as my favorite beer.
You know they have other IPAs now.
I know they have other IPAs.
New IPAs.
I know. I'm just saying I love the Emperor of Clouds. I was a couple of Emperor Clouds deep. I just watched the Yukon Huskies beat Creighton in a come-from-behind victory. My wife is a UConn graduate. She fell asleep at halftime, though. I stayed up and watched the second half. It was a fantastic ball game. And I said, you know what? I'm feeling pretty good. It's 11:15. It's 11:20. The boys are asleep. Me and the family German Shepherd go out to the driveway. It's a U-shaped driveway. And I plow and I snow shovel the driveway. And when I woke up this morning, most of the work was already done.
Yeah. Yeah, when you do it frequently, when you're only shoveling an inch or two, it's pretty easy.
Most of the work was already done. Mm-hmm. Scott Aaronworth watching the program. He's at Riverside enjoying a bacon cheeseburger, he says.
Oh, man.
And he thought Judah was talking about 50 Cent there for a second.
What?
When you said the 50 cymbals in the Kendrick Lamar halftime show.
Oh, yeah.
He says he wants to give a shout out to Riverside for an awesome burger today. I think he actually, did you text me a photo of that, Scott, as we were getting ready for the show? Dude, it's the best. I would say it's one of the best burgers out there.
Yeah, I was a little surprised when I heard about who was getting the best burger accolade in Charlottesville, because for me it's 100% Riverside. I mean, that's just.
Well, Jack Brown's got the best burger that was out there.
That's what they say.
Well, did you see the meme account Dank CVille share a video of one very prolific commercial landlord seeming to pepper a certain burger joint with trash after hours? I know this man well. He's a friend of the program.
No,
I do business with him. I'm not going to cover this or offer more than that, but one prolific landlord caught on camera. I don't know. It was not the best of a look.
I think I did see that, but it was just a grainy. It was like 2 grainy pictures that didn't tell me anything, and I had no idea what anyone was talking about.
Elliot Harding, yes, my wife is a UConn graduate. I did not know your wife was a UConn graduate as well. My wife is a UConn graduate with a finance degree, and somehow I was able to romanticize and seduce her down here from her position working for the hedge fund Blackstone to come to Charlottesville nearly 10 years ago. And now she's having to deal with the Miller Maniacs, which is frankly a job that I wish upon upon no one, but she handles it with grace and patience and talent. I sincerely mean that, sweetheart, if you're watching the program. Next headline, Judah Wickower, what do we got? At the 110 marker, 106 marker on a Wednesday, a snowy, a sleepy, a silent, a sleek. Any other S's you can think of? A saturated, a slippery downtown Charlottesville. Get the Market Street camera on right now. We got this gentleman on. You got the Market Street camera on right now?
Just about.
We're doing a live podcast right here. Yeah, I appreciate you though. Look at that Market Street camera. The guy's walking in there. He didn't realize. I think he was smoking. Did you get him on camera there?
He's on camera now.
There we go. Jeez, downtown Charlottesville. Oh, what's the next headline you got, Judah B. Wickower, jack of all trades, jack of all wits?
Next up, we've got...
I've seen some crazy stuff in that courtyard right there.
No doubt.
Legitimately some crazy stuff.
Next up, we've got executive orders and UVA research funding.
Dude, it's like it's Meltdown City over at UVA.
Yeah.
It's Meltdown City. And I follow a local realtor named Jim Duncan. Jim Duncan is a partner at Nest Realty. Mm-hmm. He lives in Crozet. He has a local blog. He's active on Reddit. And Jim Duncan has highlighted the impact that federal funding cuts could have on the housing market in the Charlottesville, Albemarle, and Central Virginia area. I first heard that concern mentioned on Real Talk with Keith Smith 2 Fridays ago. Man, that guy's cigarette is just stinking up the studio right now. Not a fan of the cigarettes. How much do you pay for cigarettes a week?
We don't.
How much is a pack of cigarettes these days?
I'm not getting into that.
Can you just tell me how much a pack of cigarettes is?
No.
Why?
Because
Bashful, the dwarf, come on.
we've got other things to talk
Is it
about.
$7 for a pack of cigarettes?
Something like that.
Is it $7?
Something like that.
Is it $8?
Something like that.
Is it $9?
Something like that.
How much is a pack of cigarettes, viewers and listeners? All right, I'll stay on track. I apologize.
Thank you.
I first heard it from Woody Fincham, the impact of federal cuts on the local Charlottesville, Albemarle, and Central Virginia economy, specifically housing. Woody made the comment, almost in passing, that this could have an impact on sales and price points. Duncan is now making this point, a partner at Nest.
Interesting.
A lot of Duncan makes the point on do we even call it social media anymore? Isn't it just media now? Do we take the word social away from media where people are posting online? That's just media now. Duncan makes the point on media that many of the folks that are moving to this area are tied to research and UVA and that grant money.
Yeah.
And that money is in this Trumponian purgatory.
Sure.
It's in the an abyss and uncertain waters.
Yeah.
To the point where the University of Virginia is now using its own media platform. We all have media platforms, ladies and gentlemen. Some just have larger followings than others. UVA today launched a FAQ page on federal policy changes. It's on news.virginia.edu. They compiled an FAQ, frequently asked questions resource, that's on their news.virginia.edu platform on President Donald Trump issuing several executive orders and directing other policy changes that may affect programs, operations, or people within the University of Virginia community. So when Duncan and Fincham both comment that these cuts could impact the local economy, that's when I start to listen. Now, I will say this. The Charlottesville and Albemarle in particular, these two communities are extremely diverse with their employment. You have defense sector, you have UVA, you have tourism, you have hospitality, you have finance, you have business, and that diversity has created a sense of security and stabilization. It's not like Southwestern Virginia where 850 people laid off at a Goodyear plant in Danville and the Danville area is going to potentially dam the economy over there. You have a number of payment sources here.
Yeah.
But the big one is UVA, and these federal cuts is something to follow. To the point where UVA is putting out an FAQ. We'll follow that closely on the program. Next headline, what do you got, Judah Wickhauer?
Next up, we have the impact of cutting UVA funding. We've got CVille responds to Tesla Gallery at Stonefield.
Put that lower third on screen. How is the Charlottesville and Albemarle community, extremely left-leaning, extremely activist-laden, going to respond to essentially a Tesla dealership at Stonefield? And we broke that news about a Tesla dealership coming to Stonefield more than a year ago on the I Love CVille show. We have the receipts. It's on camera. It's on YouTube. It's on media. We broke that news of Tesla coming to Stonefield. It's one of the reasons you listen to the show. Now that Elon Musk and Tesla are coming to Stonefield, how are folks going to respond?
Oh, I know that one.
What's your response?
I mean, some of them have already written about it.
What are they going to? They're going to boycott it?
They're going to spray paint it.
Come on, give me a break. There's the boycott list that's going on tied to Kroger on digital media,
and now Whole Foods as well.
You're going to run out of places to eat and drink and live.
Yeah.
What if you start boycotting? Ladies and gentlemen, all the brands that you buy, all the food that you eat, all the drink that you drink, all the fuel that you pump into your vehicle, all the money that you get, all the stuff you spend on, eventually, if you look at the map of what they're linked to, are going to be tied to the most powerful and influential people in the world.
It all ends up back in the same place. So
that's why they're the most powerful and influential people in the world. Is it a level of hypocrisy that people are bitching and moaning about what they're going to boycott because of politics, then they do the complaining on an iPhone on Facebook? I watched former Mayor Nakia Walker yesterday. Former Mayor Nakia Walker, who during her leadership, during her time at the helm of Charlottesville, the city had its most, and one of its most embattled periods of its history. And she was bitching and moaning yesterday on Facebook that we're going to boycott Facebook. Posting it on Facebook. Make that make sense. Make it make sense when you're complaining and boycotting or leading a boycott charge, and you're doing so by posting on your iPhone through Amazon Web Services while sitting in your Tesla driving around town.
It's hard to escape the corporations.
I want the viewer and listener of this program to answer that question. We have a contingent in our community that's saying they're going to boycott everything. And they're going to boycott everything while using their iPhone to post about the boycott, on Facebook to let everyone know about the boycott, on Reddit powered by Amazon Web Services or Jeff Bezos to let everyone know about the boycott, while sitting inside their Tesla, while parked in front of a Harris Teeter or Kroger, while enjoying a Starbucks latte.
There it is.
Help me, make it make sense.
You can't.
Make it make sense. I sincerely mean that. Help me understand that. Help me understand the former mayor's post from yesterday. What is the plan for Google, she writes. Its leaders believe the company is essential and too big to fail. Are any of the other companies a better option? Are we going to continue using it like Twitter and Facebook? Posting this on Facebook. Conan Owen watching the program, the owner of Sir Speedy, he says, and if you don't realize you're using a Tesla charger, it tells Elon exactly how many customers he has in town to justify a showroom. You are just fooling yourself. It's 100% right. Elon doesn't even need to know the Tesla charger, that you're using a Tesla charger to determine how many Teslas that are in the area. He can probably tell by one of 20 other touch points in the Tesla itself how many Teslas are in the area.
No doubt.
Tyler Berry watching the program. Everyone in CVille drives a Tesla. Tesla will be great for the CVille community. 100% right. Teslas and Porsche Cayennes everywhere in Charlottesville. What are the most prolific model of cars in Charlottesville and Albemarle County? Teslas, Porsche Cayennes, Audi SUVs. Do you not see Porsches, Audis, and Teslas everywhere, people? Curtis Shaver. Love Curtis Shaver. They're putting in Tesla chargers in the parking lot of Target. Vanessa Parkhill, funny, 2 years ago, locals would have been excited about the Tesla store. Curtis says a tin of Zins are $4, Judah. Maybe you need to make the switch to Zins?
Maybe.
Or $4.
There you go.
I bet you would get an extra mortgage payment every year by not smoking cigarettes. He doesn't like when I have this commentary. I'll stop. I apologize. I'm coming from a place of pure-heartedness that is coming across as a bit gruff, perhaps.
It's just that you're airing it for people who don't necessarily need to have that stuff aired.
I'm okay. Viewer and listener, not named Judah. If you're a viewer and listener, not named Judah, and you're spending $7 for a pack of cigarettes a day, let's just call it $7 for 5 packs of cigarettes a week. That is 7 times 5, $35 a week, times 52 weeks is $1,820. That's an extra $1,820 by not smoking cigarettes for the viewers and listeners that are watching this program. Take that $1,800, split it into 3 index funds, leave it alone, and you will live longer. You won't hurt your body or your lungs. And that doesn't even include the time to go and buy the cigarettes or the gas and wear and tear on your car to and from the location to purchase the cigarettes. Just a suggestion for the viewers and listeners watching the show. Not Judah. Georgia Gilmer, wonder if all the Musk haters will sell their Teslas. I wonder the same, Judah. I found it a little, I'm not throwing shade on the guy at all. Sunshine, the executive director of Piedmont Housing Alliance, I believe in a fully loaded Rivian.
He was. I saw him get into it eventually.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So I was right.
Yeah.
A fully loaded Rivian. What is fully loaded Rivian SUV cost?
No idea.
A tricked out Rivian's about $107,000.
Wow.
$107,700. The base model's $80K. Just making an observation. Just an observation, ladies and gentlemen. Just an observation. Next headline, what do you got, Judah Wickhauer?
Next, we have...
I love Subaru Outbacks. Curtis Shaver.
CVille Public Schools and neighborhood proximity.
Philip Dow of Scottsville. Take that cigarette money and invest it. You wouldn't believe how much money you could make. Just take the money and invest it. Put it in index funds and leave it alone. You would be shocked of what happens. I also concur. Okay, look, CVille Public Schools. Is it redistricting that's going on, Judah? Rezoning, redistricting in the schools?
Rezoning seems to be a problem in this area. In this case, it's schools, and I believe they've come up with several different plans on how to do it, and they've all been rejected. Charlottesville parents are not happy with. Maybe they're just not happy with the idea of having to go through rezoning.
I'm going to make this comment. Elementary schools, public elementary schools, should be neighborhood public elementary schools.
Okay.
It should be close proximity, walking distance, or a couple-minute drive to the school. It should be an extension, the elementary public school, of the backyard playtime and a cul-de-sac or someone's house. where you spend Monday through Friday in the classroom with your friends, and when school is over, you are able to go down the cul-de-sac or in a kid's backyard and continue the playtime. If redistricting is happening and kids are genuinely leaving or having to drive past other neighborhood schools to get to the school they may end up attending, that is wrong. Public schools, elementary ones specifically, should be associated with neighborhoods and the sense of rite of passage or maturation or youth becoming young adults or youth maturing into middle schoolers. That happens as much in the classroom as it does in a cul-de-sac or a backyard playing soccer or tag. Gaga ball, are you familiar with Gaga ball? Gaga ball is all the rage now. It's a version of dodgeball. All my first grader and his friends want to do is play Gaga ball.
Gaga ball.
Have you ever heard of Gaga ball?
No.
Viewers and listeners, take a look at what Gaga ball is. That's what they're playing. It's not Red Rover, send Judah over. And it's not hide and
Send the
seek.
Gaga ball.
It's not dodgeball. It's Gaga ball. They're playing Gaga ball. It's a version of dodgeball. But the elementary school should be tied to the neighborhood Gaga ball game.
Okay.
Where you can learn in a classroom, and then when school is over, you continue that connection with your friends in a neighbor's backyard or in the cul-de-sac down the street. And if the city is not prioritizing elementary schools tied to neighborhoods, they're doing families a disservice, and those families should speak out, speak up, and speak out. Let us know your thoughts, viewers and listeners. That's all the rage right now. Brian Festa, watching the program, talented musician. Nice to see you. It's been a long time. Regarding cigarettes, people can quit in one session with hypnosis.
Oh.
If you want to quit, Judah, Brian Festa can help you quit with hypnosis.
Is he a hypnotist?
I would believe. Are you a hypnotist, Brian?
I know he's a musician.
Yeah. Are you a hypnotist, Brian? Would you be willing to do? Oh, I got a great idea. Would you be willing to do
it on air?
On the show, we hypnotize you live on air, Judah. It will save you nearly $2,000 that we're then going to put into, spread that 2K across 3 index funds, and you're going to leave it alone. Were you willing to do that?
Not on air.
If you, not Judah specifically, for the viewers and listeners that are watching the program that happen to smoke cigarettes or have one room to rent in their individual house that they own, if the viewers and listeners watching the program quit smoking cigarettes and rented the one room that they had to rent in their house that was not being utilized, the viewers and listeners that meet this criteria would have an additional $16,000 to $20,000 a year at their disposal that they could then allow to accumulate in index funds or an interest-bearing account associated with one of the many local banks that are offering 4 or 5% yields. And after 18 to 24 months, maybe 36 months, they'd have enough money for the down payment on an investment property or another home where the viewer and listener that's watching the program could take their current home and rent it out and have passive income for life. That's for the viewers and listeners. And Brian said he would be happy to hypnotize you live on air. He is a hypnotist. Neil Williamson, the president of the Free Enterprise Forum, his photo on screen. We need to add Brian to the I Love CVille family. Brian, the show airs 12:30 to 1:30. You are now one of the key members of the family as the lone hypnotist in our family, Brian Festa. Neil Williamson says, for what it's worth, each pack of cigarettes sold in Charlottesville has a 55-cent sin tax associated with it. Gaga ball, that's right, Curtis. Gaga ball. Vanessa Parkhill, many parents get very uneasy with the thought of redistricting. I agree that having students attend their neighborhood school absolutely makes the most sense. 100%. They grow up with these kids. Next headline, Judah Wickower, what do you got?
Next up, we
Put that lower third on screen if you could, please, sir.
Key elements of CVille biz worth reproducing.
This was an interesting suggestion. Deep Throat has this stat. By the way, the school system hired a consultant for this. They are talking about overcrowding when Weldon Cooper forecasts that Charlottesville Public Schools enrollment will drop from 4,200 to 3,700 by 2028, 2029.
Wow.
Deep Throat also says the Charlottesville Public Schools consultant, the way they did their forecast made 0 sense. These people were even worse than HR ampersand A. Are you talking CRHA was with zoning? Really, I got so much information thrown to me in a live setting. Yeah, that's another thing. Why is Weldon Cooper saying that public school enrollment's going to drop locally, where the public schools itself are saying that the enrollment's going to expand? Who's right and who's wrong?
That's a good question.
HR ampersand A. HR and A was the zoning consultant.
Families trending away from Charlottesville.
I mean, genuine question. Genuine question. This comes via Facebook message. While I'm glad to have never tried cigarettes, we all have our vices and should give up and invest instead. Given Judah's work environment, let the man have what he needs to tolerate the weak. Judah
Amen.
says yes. Judah has a fantastic work environment. Half the time we have to leave him completely alone. I don't care if you smoke at all. Could care less. Could absolutely care less. You do you. You do you. What is the best elements from business that you would take? That you would take and scale into a super business?
From Charlottesville businesses?
This was an idea that that a viewer and listener suggested to us. If you could take elements from local businesses that are performing at a very high level, and you could cherry pick these elements and to create one super business, what would those elements be? And we're not going to be able to get to all these in one show, so I just kind of want to get the conversation going. If you could cherry pick the best elements of local business in Charlottesville and make one super business, what would those elements be? First one immediately that came to mind to me would be the efficiency of the Bodo's line. Yeah.
Yeah. And Chick-fil-A.
The Bodo's and Chick-fil-A lines, their efficiency with managing demand is to be applauded. Some joke that Chick-fil-A and Bodo's should be the ones administering the COVID shots during the pandemic. And how do you like those apples with all the people that took those COVID shots? I'm going to leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a political firestorm right there.
Oh, yeah.
But in retrospect, all the people that took those COVID shots, how do you like them apples? Going to leave it alone. But that's a topic we can carry to other shows. The Bodo's and Chick-fil-A line management.
Yeah, I'd say know your core target audience. And
who does that well?
I would say Jack Brown's is a good.
Oh.
It's a small place, but they do beer. They do easy to make burgers, and the place is it's got stuff all over the walls. When it's busy, there's barely room to walk from one end to the other, but it's a fun place to go, and doesn't seem to be having any problems. Same with what was it? I saw something about there's a newish business. What is it called? I believe it's a coffee and snacks type place, and they rely on people with Kindness Cafe.
Yeah, opening
That's
a
what it's
second
called.
location. My wife's been telling me about this.
They're opening a second location off of Rugby. You don't open new locations if your business is in trouble. So I have to imagine, and I've never been there. So
Isn't Kindness Cafe a nonprofit? Isn't Kindness Cafe a nonprofit? And if I need
They
to get.
still have to. Somebody still has to pay for another.
Is it
opening a
not
new
tied to
location.
donations? I don't know. I should look into that. I applaud them for opening a second location. You're the second person that's brought this up to me. I applaud them opening a second location. I will look into that. In fact, I'm happy to host the team from Kindness Cafe on the show. And congratulations on opening a second location. So we'll save this topic for a different show. Elements of business that are performing at levels that are beyond efficient, levels of like 1% operation efficiency or output. Boto's and Chick-fil-A, how they manage a line is in that list.
Yeah.
I want to take elements from local business and build a super business. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I think we have one other item out of the notebook, which is the UVA Innovators. Oh, quick one hitter if you want to get the Yunkin on screen.
And
Yunkin has banned DeepSeek on state devices like computers and cell phones and has extended that ban to state universities as well. I said when DeepSeek came out and when it crushed NVIDIA's market cap, I said, this is TikTok 2.0. If we had issues with TikTok, how are we not going to have issues with DeepSeek and artificial intelligence literally being even more influential than a social media platform on our phones, in our houses, in the palm of our hands? And that prediction was right. NVIDIA has recovered, and DeepSeek is not what we initially thought it was 2 Mondays ago, or about, 10 days ago when it crushed the stock market. I said that was going to happen. And the last topic on the show, we have a meeting coming, an interview coming. Is it next Thursday, Judah?
Yes.
It's next Thursday with the UVA Innovators of the year. The team of Craig Meyer, Joseph Hart, and Sylvia Blemker were named the University of Virginia Innovators of the Year. And they have new technology called Springbok, which brings, I'll let them tell the story. But you're looking at a way to detect athletic injuries. And I believe the NBA is an investor into their group. So I want to talk, we'll highlight them a week from tomorrow on the I Love CVille show in person. Should be a really good interview. So props to Sam Sanders. Are we going to call him the best dressed man in Charlottesville? Mike Kochis is the George Clooney of policing. Is Sam Sanders the best dressed guy in Charlottesville?
Could be. I would need some photo evidence.
Have you not seen him around town?
Not recently.
He's flossing. The dude dresses well.
I believe it.
He dresses well. All right, the Wednesday edition of the I Love CVille show for the fantastic Judah Wickower. My name is Jerry Miller. So long. Thank you for joining us, everybody.